Alright, so I've got my materials on, I've started to apply my textures, but we can see what's working for the top is not working for the bottom. Okay, so we need to fix that. So one of the first things is it's going to be far easier for me to get a hold of the sides and then just project straight down. So what I could do, I could either separate this, and this also brings up another factor. Do I need all these polys at the bottom if I'm never going to see them? And this is something that a lot of times people run across. If I select these and I want to save myself some headache and make this look a little bit easier on the eyes, I could shift period to grow that selection. So I selected the bottom, did a shift period to grow the selection, and I could just delete all of these if I wanted to. And then that will clear this up a little bit. And I make sure I only deleted that. Because if I never erase it, if it never goes up, it's never on its side, that's just extra polygons I don't need. Now, when it comes to mapping all of this, at least real quickly to make it look good, the thing I have to consider is that the texture has to be consistent. The top has to be planar map because it's a plane, it's a flat surface going down. And the sides, because it looks more like a cylinder, you guessed it, needs to be more like an actual cylinder. So what I could do is, now that I have these guys separated, I'm going to grab these UVs and move them over here for right now. And right here, I'm going to work with this. Now, if I look at this and I say, wow, you know, at the top of that looks good, and even if it didn't, guess what? This is going to be underneath the cushion, you know. So I pick an area where I want to cut this, and then so I can separate this area and cylindrically map it. So if I were to go in, we see this edge goes all over the place, including over here. I don't want to cut this just yet. I like the way that is. But I do want to cut along here. So I could, like, you know, select from here all the way to the other side, or I could just control deselect the edges on the other side, on the back part, which leaves only this. So I'm basically going from the dark edge here, where the fabric part of the model has a texture cut, to the other side. And I will cut, so let me hide this. And I will cut that. So now I'm slicing this up a little bit. And now I can grab this. Oops, I forgot about that. Let me sew that back together. So I'm just going to select these. If these are already sewn, it's not a big issue. So I'm just going to say polygons, sew edges, and that sews them back up. Now if I go to shell, that's that top, which leaves the leather portion going all the way around. Here's an easy way. Grab the faces. When we UV map, we want to select faces or the whole object, and cylindrically map it. That's what it looks like cylindrically mapped. Better, but not exactly what I'm looking for yet. So let me just get in, grab it. The problem is that, once again, like the box, the ratio isn't the same. And to do that, I could actually, with these UVs selected, I could click here, And it sort of works, but you can see there's some very strange distortion happening. Even though the texture looks good, for the most part, there's definitely some weirdness, and some areas are more pixelated than others. So I'm going to show you a better way of doing that. I'm going to go to Polygons, Unfold Options. And all these are designed to do different projections. Project on a plane, project on a cylinder, project on a sphere, project from multiple sides, even project on a contour. So if I move this out of the way so I'm not messed up there, I could select the faces and see what would happen if I said, oh, do it on a contour, but the problem is, yeah, not digging that. Looks kind of like a kaleidoscope and not happy. But what I can do, the problem is the ratio is that these guys are too squinched together. So usually it says, oh, unfold options. And that is better, but it's still not the dice I was looking for. So I'm going to do it with a little more control. I'm going to go to Legacy. And I want to constrain it . Oops. And I'm sorry, you have to be selecting the UVs when you do this. Constrain it vertically. Let's try that. That actually is pretty close to what it was. The reason it's squinching in here is and doing some weirdness is because of the way that this shape is made. So, because there's some parts that kind of turn in and overlap and do some weird stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this up just a little bit more. So if I cut that, and cut that. And what will happen is I have these now separated into pieces. And if I want to move them back together, I can move and sew them together. Now that's working a lot better. Still some weird distortion here, but we can adjust for that. Let's see what the texture looks like. It's looking much better. There's still some distortion, and wherever there's distortion is where I would actually select a face and then check. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah. So essentially what's happening is we're getting some of the distortion of these areas in here and how it's actually kind of caving in certain areas. And this is just that fun part of UV mapping where you can see there's some overlapping that's happening that shouldn't be. Yeah, and it's actually a model issue for some reason. That edge, when I receded, it went way down, much lower than it was supposed to. So the general idea is that you just want to cut this up and then get it so that you can actually stretch these faces out. So in other words, if I look at these faces here, and I did a cylindrical of just those faces, this little cage is showing me exactly where that looks much better. Just doing a plain old cylindrical. And of course, the only sucky part is that I also have to make sure, because right now you see a definite change in the scale resolution, is I have to make sure, whoops, that these are the same, that they would actually match. This is just that one part, this is twice as high, so this should actually be twice as big. There we go. If that material looks like it's not matching properly, then I go into the attribute editor, and under that file, this is the benefit of a tiling texture, there's a little guy called a placement node. And that's where I go in and I tile it. So if I actually, let me just select that so this highlights better. And then I go in and I say, wow, I want this to repeat like 4 by, oh, not 41 times. Repeat UV 4 by 4. That's actually working pretty well. And then I would do the same for this guy right here. Which, sorry, my mouse is acting weird. Which is kind of annoying. So we have this, and then we say, wow, we want to open this up because now I want to do that same thing, and on that new fabric, bring in that texture file that I put in my source images. So once again, we can see it's working in some places, stretched in others. Though this one should be a lot easier. We should be able to just grab these faces, and let's see what happens. Let's try a few different, what happens if we do a create contour stretch. So it's not digging that fine. Then let's do a cylindrical map. Let's just give this issue, stop that. UVs. Well, let's do it this way. Here's another little trick. I'm going to rotate my camera like so. UVs. Planar map. So I'm projecting it. And then I just adjust the angle of my planar map. And now we use our unfold options. Hit C. Keep doing that. Because I want to do it only to this, so that means grab only its UVs, which will pin everything else. Once again, if it's like, wow, it's starting to chug a little bit, edit, delete by type, history. Speed things up. Now the problem with unfolding this is that you can't get it flat without distortion because there's these weird curves. So ideally, getting an area that actually isn't going to have the weird curves works. Think about if you're meticulously undoing. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to get it so that I can flatten this guy out. And if I cut these corners, literally, and I want to tile this guy a little. Let's say this one we're going to do 6 by 6. So still some distortion on the ends. So I made my cuts, and now I'm going to use the Unfold 3D option. There we go. Now if I look at this, that looks much better. This pillow is a planar map and a cylinder. Let's do that in one more video to break this up. Last one.